Hi everyone, good morning. Welcome to Gnan Cloud Garage. In this session, I'm going to talk about vRealize Automation vRA 8.9. VMware has released 8.9 exactly the yesterday, 9th August. Okay, and this is our session 3, and our main key concept for today is most common use cases with real world examples. So before we talk about the most common use cases and real world example, we'll quickly understand the few foundational concepts. That is, what is vRealize Automation 8.9 build procedure, and what are the 8.9 key components, and what is the vRealize Automation 8.9 high level usage model, and what are the 8.9 use cases with real world examples. And today, with interest of our time, I will cover one use case. In our next session, I will cover the other use cases. Okay, so the first use case starts from the day zero design concept, and other use cases will focus on day one deploy and day two operations. Okay, let's start with our first question. What is a vRealize Automation 8.9 build procedure? In our previous session, I already explained you how we can install vRealize Automation 8.6 version. And 8.9, it's exactly released. Suppose if we log into the VMware website, you can see the VMware vRealize Automation 8.9. It's released on 9th August, exactly the yesterday. So this version, also the installation is pretty simple. We have to download vRealize Automation from the VMware website, and it will download as a appliance only, OVA file, Open Virtual Appliance. So you can see 8.9, and you can see the appliance you can use ISO, and this is a easy installer method. Always prefer to download easy installer. Okay, and let's back to our slide. So the build procedure almost same like 8.6. You can try in your home lab. If you have any questions and all, I will also show you one more time 8.9 actual step-by-step installation procedure in the later sessions. Okay, but the procedure is almost same like our previous version 8.6. And one key point here is vRA 8.x, that means any 8 series version do not support on nested virtual environment, such as if you are already have one ESX, if you create a ESXi on a virtual machine, on top, if you're trying to install vRA, it's not recommended, it won't support. We have our ESXi host must be on a bare metal environment. On top of the ESXi, you can directly run the vRA appliance as a virtual machine, or we call it as virtual appliance. Okay, so the procedure is, just now we verified VMware website. You can just download vRealize Easy Installer ISO, which includes the all vRA components, LCM, IDM, integrated identity manager, and also the vRealize automation. All these three components included in this Easy Installer ISO. And the second step, mount this ISO and run the executable. Just launch the setup.exe, and it will show us the install lifecycle manager, in short form LCM. Once the LCM is installed, it will only allows you, once the installation of LCM is completed, it will also provide you the options to deploy a VIDM identity manager with LCM only. And once the IDM is completed, it will also allow us to deploy and install the vRealize Automation 8.9. And finally, VRA installed and all the services are up and running. We can able to launch the VRA 8.9 homepage. Okay, so when you launch the VRA 8.9 homepage, there are few components will come automatically with the 8.9 appliance. Let's understand what are the vRealize Automation 8.9 key component. Whatever the components we discussed in our previous session 8.6, the same components applicable in 8.9, but only difference is there is one additional component included, that is salt stack config. But salt stack config we have to download separately from the VMware website. Suppose earlier, if you see from the website, there are normally vRA easy installer one. Suppose if we go back to previous screen, The product downloads includes vRA 8.9 1 ISO, and we also have separate vRealize orchestrator appliance. Some organization they may use external orchestrator, but some are prefer to use embedded orchestrator. And along with this vRE and vRO, we also have a salt stack. This salt stack also a additional component of vRA, but this is not comes with a default ISO. We have to download it separately, and we have to use for a salt stack security operations and salt stack config. Two options are available. Okay. Once we are familiar with VRE and VRO, and later sessions, I will talk about the salt stack secops. Okay. So let's back to the slide. And within our vRA 8.9 key components, see, this is our vRA 8.9 homepage. Within the homepage, we can see the main services are four components it includes. The components names are Cloud Assembly, Code Stream, Orchestrator, and Service Broker. And we also have another one which is vRA Migration Assistant. Suppose if any of our organizations they are using a 7 series 7.6, they want to migrate it to 8 series. During that scenario, we can use vRA Migration Assistant. Okay. Now let me elaborate this component, some more additional concepts inside the each component. Okay. So vRA 8.9 key components, as we know, the four key components are Cloud Assembly, Code Stream, Service Broker, and Orchestrator. Now, let's understand within the Cloud Assembly, we can have a facility to configure Cloud Template. The name itself says Cloud Template. That means it is a agnostic. Previously, we call the name as a blueprints in our previous version of VRA 7 series. But when comes to 8 series, the name is changed to Cloud Template. The reason is this Cloud Template, it will allow us to provision on-premises, private cloud, public cloud, and also the hybrid cloud environments. That's the reason they rename it as a cloud template. All are the cloud agnostic templates. And the resources are common. We can find the resources from the cloud assembly, but how we can find the resources is we have to add our compute managers. Like we need to integrate with our vCenter server. We can integrate with our hybrid cloud service like VMC on AWS. We can integrate with our public clouds. When we integrate with public cloud and all, we'll get the resources from the respective infra. And cloud accounts means these all the specific accounts from the our vCenter server, private cloud, public cloud accounts only. We need a one administrator account to integrate. Okay, and actions and workflows. These are all the main major components within the cloud assembly. Now let's understand the code stream. The name itself it says code stream, and most of the CA and CI/CD. CI/CD means continuous integration and continuous development. DevOps concepts are comes under the code stream. Okay, and we can run the pipelines, custom integrations, and also the triggers. These are all the four key components within the code stream. Okay, and service broker, this is also one of the key component within the service broker. We have a one major thing is service catalog. Using the service catalog only, our customers or end users, stakeholders, they will submit their requests like virtual machine provision or virtual machine operation related jobs, or they may request for a Tanzu Kubernetes cluster deployment. This and all they can perform using a service catalog. But once they submit the request, it has to approve their internal management team. Okay, and it also have a certain policies and notifications. Once the request is completed, they will receive the notification from the service broker. And orchestrator, within the orchestrator also we can see the workflows. There are plenty of workflows. We have few workflows comes with the default vRA, and some of the custom workflows we have facility to create within a vRealize orchestrator. And actions, and also the policies packages. These packages is like some of the third party products. If you want to integrate with our vRealize orchestrator, we can use the specific packages to integrate. Okay, once we integrate with REST API and all those information is make it into a one package. Okay, and whatever the plugins and the integrations we performed in VRO, all are comes under the packages tab. Okay, so in our later sessions, each concept I will show you the lab and explain you each and every one. But today's session is mainly to show you the holistic approach of vRealize automation, most common use cases. Okay, now let's understand what is the vRealize automation 8.9 high level usage model, how we can usage it in the VRA 8.9. As we are aware, one of the common virtual infrastructure platform is vSphere. Suppose if I am using a vSphere in our organization, and to deploy the multiple virtual machines, we can create a multiple templates and pre-configured virtual appliances. So templates in general, Windows flavor, Linux flavor, or some scenarios we may use Solaris also. And using the template, we can deploy the multiple virtual machine. Suppose if your organization size is large, medium, or large or extra large organization, if you want to deploy a 20 VMs, 30 VMs every day on day-to-day basis or quarterly basis, usually it may take longer time. If you need a automation process, we have to include the vRealize automation tool. But within the vRealize automation tool, as we know, we have four key components: orchestrator, cloud assembly, code stream, and service broker. But here, how the workflow usage model will start is, the first thing is, before we start the VRA and all, we need to integrate our vSphere within the cloud assembly. To integrate that one, we should be ready with our existing templates first. Once your templates are ready, we are good to integrate our vSphere vCenter to cloud assembly. So when you integrate with our cloud assembly, we can have a facility to run the onboarding plans like virtual machine provision or Kubernetes. Nowadays, organizations are not only virtual machine provisioning, they are also using a enterprise grade container platform provisionings. Like if you want to deploy a Tanzu Kubernetes cluster, we can deploy using the cloud assembly. That means it's using VRA. But if you want to deploy, first we need to integrate our vSphere with the Tanzu with a cloud assembly section, and we can perform the designs also within a cloud assembly. Okay, that is a second step. And third step is, some of the workflows, it's not only limited to cloud assembly, we need some dependency on the orchestrator. So for example, if I want to deploy a virtual machine, we can deploy virtual machine using cloud assembly cloud template. But while deploying the virtual machine, our condition is it should be automation. That means this virtual machine should also comes with a automatically assigned IP address. But how it will assign the IP address is, we need to integrate some of the third party tools. For example, IP address access management tools like Infoblox. Infoblox is one of the third party tool. That tool we can integrate within our vRealize orchestrator, so that whenever the user requests for one virtual machine, that virtual machine automatically, respect to VRA workflow, will provide one IP address and it will start provision, and provision in within a vSphere environment level. So when the user is requested for cloud, from the cloud templates, when the user requests for a VM, first it will pick one IP from vRealize orchestrator, and it will start provisioning with VM name along with assigned IP address in a vSphere environment. Okay, that is the second step. And the third step also, we understand the workflow importance. One example we talk about Infoblox. Similarly, we have so many integrations available in vRealize orchestrator. And another example, using the code stream. Code stream also, some users, once the virtual machine is provisioned, at the end of the provisioning, they want to install some custom applications or their project related applications. For that also, they need another process. We need to include the code stream. So continuous integration task, and it will also coordinate with our vRealize orchestrator workflow. Once the virtual machine provision is completed, IP is assigned. Through that virtual machine IP address, our code stream will detect the new virtual machine. It will start pushing the newly developed applications. That is the fourth step. And the fifth step is once the application is provisioned, it will also update it in our virtual machine layer. That means vSphere level. Now within our vSphere layer, VM is created, IP assigned, and application also deployed. But if you want to do manually, usually it will take some time. We need to deploy VM from template in vSphere, and we need to ask our network team to provide the IP address and IP information. And similarly, we need to ask our developer team or application team to install the application. Three teams has to involve to perform one virtual machine provision. But if you need a 20 virtual machine, usually it will take very longer time. But when you have a vRealize automation in your infrastructure, the virtual machine provisioning will be minutes. Instead of waiting for so many hours, within few minutes we can provision the virtual machine completely ready for our testing. Okay, that is the fourth step. And after the fourth step, the fifth point is the request forms. Normally, for our end user perspective, vRA engineer perspective, fifth point is service broker level. It will shows request is completed. But when you see this in same model from the end user perspective, end user, they're not aware of the background usual technical concept, how the vRA functionality. They know only the submitting the request. The request is like a custom form only. They can submit the request 1, 2, 3, and so on. So that I mention as a N. So users can submit a request not only for virtual machine provision, they may submit requests for CPU increase, memory increase, or virtual machine restart, or migrating the VM to another host, or virtual machine snapshot creation, clone, and deploying a Tanzu Kubernetes cluster. There are so many custom forms available within the service broker. For the end user, this is only the first step. But for our VRA engineer or our automation engineer perspective, this is the last stage. Within the service broker, the request status is shows as a completed state. Okay, that deployment state we can verify from service broker, or we can also verify from cloud assembly. But if you understand this high level overview, later session I will focus on each component one day so that it's easy to understand. Okay. Uh, but here try to understand the high level picture. What is the use of when the user perspective, they know only the service broker submitting the request. But as a VMware engineer, we need to understand how we can link up in the backend VRA level each and every component. These all components have interdependency. Some cases it may the third and fourth step may go vice versa, because it depends on the our developers development of application layer. Okay, sometime it may go for fourth step may go to the third, and third step may go for a fourth. Okay, but the usual process is this is only the usual process for our automation layer. Okay, now let's talk about the most common use cases. What are the vRealize 8.9 most common use cases with real world examples? I'm trying to show you one screenshot in the service broker level, the customer perspective, the customer side, they can see the catalog items are like this. It's like a, when you went for any of the hotel, we have a hotel menu card. Within the menu, they have some starters, main course, and the desserts. Same way, even in our automation perspective also, within the catalog item is like a menu only. Here, whatever your customer requested, all are, as a automation engineer, we have to prepare all the catalog items here. So here I am showing you high level examples of 8 examples, but it's not only limited to this 8 example. There are plenty of requests we can catalog items we can create. Same like hotel menu. Some hotels may have only 10 items menu. Some hotels may have 30 items menu. It's a depends on the hotel size, and same way our automation also. It's a depends on our IT infrastructure size, and as well as customers business requirements. Some customer may ask for infrastructure as a service. Some customers may request it for virtual machine as a service. Some customers may request it for containerization as a service. Nowadays, every request is become as a AAS. That means anything as a service. So whatever the task you are performing the manually and repeatedly, all the repeated tasks can be automated using vRealize automation. But only thing, if you want to automate also, the as a vRealize automation engineer, we should know how to automate that the code development can be do it using our vRA components like vRealize orchestrator cloud assembly and also the code stream. Using these components, we can perform the automation. Some developers may have a different idea, like they may use a AML, they may use AML to do infrastructure as a code to do automate. Some developers may use Ansible workflows, some developers may use Terraform, and some may use salt stack config. It's up to the developer's choice, whatever the development they did. But as a vRealize or an engineer, we have to understand how they did the automation. The same automation workflow we need to implement in our vRA level. Okay, once you implement it, that automation workflow has to be published to the service broker. But the end user perspective, they don't know what the backend automation workflow is running, but they know only the front end service broker. From the service broker only, they will submit the request. Okay, but if they want to, for example, here in this diagram we have a Red Hat Enterprise Linux. It is a pretty bit old screenshot, but here now already has Red Hat Linux 9 and Windows Server 2022 20 version also available. Ubuntu 18 it is showing, but Ubuntu we have 20 series version. These versions we may show it in our catalog items, but when they submit the request, if it will start deploying the Red Hat VM. But if you want to deploy Red Hat VM in the backend in our vSphere infrastructure, we should be ready with our Red Hat template. But in general, we will log into vCenter, we'll right click the template and we'll deploy the virtual machine from template. Whatever the steps you are doing manually, those all the steps are automated with the vRA. Like even in the vSphere, when you deploy the virtual machine, we need to assign the IP address manually. But in when you are using vRA, we no need to no need to assign the IP address manually. We can integrate some IP address management tools like info blocks. It will help us to assign one IP address. Okay, whatever the subnet you chosen for that VM, automatically it will pick the IP address and assign it to the newly requested virtual machine. Okay, and this above top layer is talking about the virtual machines with a different flavor of OS, and the bottom layer is talking about the some of the network related services like NSX layer. We can configure the networking, like we can create logical switches, distributed firewalls, and also we can configure load balancer for application load balancing purpose, and we can configure the distributed firewall, and we can also deploy modern applications like serverless application model. These all the best example how we can use the vRA 8.9. But in our later session, we'll start with a one request first, how we can ready with the Windows flavor, and then we'll talk about the Linux flavor. Like that, I will show you each and every request, how we can prepare the catalog item. Each and every step we'll discuss. Okay, but here try to visualize how it will be the holistic approach in the vRealize automation high level usage model. Okay, now, so one of the use case we can cover today. I'm just giving an example with some tools based on my experience, but this tool is only every time every customer use, there is no guarantee. It depends on the customer's choice. Okay, so here this example what I'm going to talk is one main use case is day zero design endpoints and customization. Here I clearly mentioned customization. That means whatever the tool names I mentioned, this can be customized always. For our easy understanding, I took one example of each tool. So if you see in the right side column cloud accounts, that means endpoints, we have 10 endpoints. Endpoints is the usually the previous vRA 7 series name, but the vRA 8 series we should first start using the name with cloud accounts. Okay, and the normal common use case is onboarding a new organization or new tenant or customer. Suppose if any customer is planning to onboard to our private cloud infrastructure or hybrid cloud infrastructure, that is the one use case. And another use case, let's say the customer is already using their services for 3 years or 5 years. After 5 years they want to offboard. That is also one of the use case, how to offboard that new organization, new tenant or customer from our vRealize automation. That is also one use case. So use case 1A, 1B. And the description of the use case is automatic provision of logical components of new organization. Let's say normally in our public cloud infrastructure, Azure, AWS, and also the Google Cloud. When you open your Google Cloud portal or AWS portal, we are just subscribing to the portal. When you subscribe, already we will have some default tabs are available for you, readily available. But in the back end, they have to do some automation. Then only with your login credential, you will get some automatic tabs are available for you. But that information, if you want to do in our private cloud infrastructure or hybrid cloud infrastructure using vRealize automation, minimally we should ready with 10 products. But not only 10, there will be some organization they may use more than 10, some organization may use less than 10 also. But just for a easy understanding, I took the example of 10 main commonly used cloud accounts or endpoints. Okay, and this endpoints, let's say, what is the importance of all these 10 endpoints? We'll try to understand one by one. Let's say we have a data store location, single site A, site B, and hybrid mode site B. Normally, every organization may have minimally two sites, site A and site B. Site B, some organization they maintain active active, some organization may maintain like active passive. That means one is primary site, another is a secondary site. And some organizations they may maintain a hybrid mode also. In a hybrid mode means they will use both active active. Okay, and Infoblox is one of the IP address access management tool. This tool will help us to reserve the new subnets in the Infoblox. Suppose one customer is onboarded to our organization. That means for that customer, few IP subnets or few range of IP addresses VLANs has to be reserved for that customer. Okay, suppose second customer is onboarded. Even for the second customer, we have to reserve few IP address subnets and few VLANs has to be reserved. Same like how we are reserving in a AWS. Okay, when you subscribe for a VPC virtual private cloud, there will be some regional subnet security groups will be reserved for our account. Same way in vRA also. Okay, and another third point, we realize automation. Create a new network profile, image profile, flavor mapping, taggings. These options also will create because your organization name is, let's say your organization name is organization 1 for our easy understanding. Any name can be. It can be normally it can be a company name. Let's say our organization name is HPE. So HPE with HPE name there will be some network profile. That means that profile name consists of short name of our organization like HP underscore NW. That means when you see that naming convention, this network profile is related to the HPE customer. Suppose another organization, let's say Capgemini. Capgemini, instead of putting the full name, we may use the short name CG underscore NW underscore 1. That means this network profile belongs to the Capgemini customer. So customer is nothing but any organization. Okay, and image profile is nothing but the specific images like operating system image or any of the custom images. Okay, and the flavor mapping, that is also Windows flavor, Linux flavor, and any of the appliance flavors. And the tagging also very important concept. It's a kind of, we can use multiple level of taggings are available in vRA. The in detail of tagging concept I will explain in the later sessions. Okay, and these three also minimally required when you are onboarding a new customer or new tenant. And NSX also one of the important product we require for a network virtualization layer in order to automate all your virtual network layer. That means it will provide a logical switches, it will provide a distributed firewall, distributed logical router, and east-west traffic, north-south traffic, these and all connectivities. It should be ready before onboarding the new tenant. Okay, and minimally we need a one virtual center is should be ready and create a resource pool in our all clusters. And the FortiGate is one of the firewall. It's a physical firewall because some organizations may use virtual firewalls, that means distributed firewall DFW, or they may use a external physical firewalls also. So at least minimally we have one physical firewall. So I given one example of FortiGate. Not only FortiGate, you can use any other company also. And reporting server, this is also important. Every organization, whatever the task, automation task we are performing, all should be reported. We should maintain one reporting server. Like you can integrate reporting server like vRealize operations manager. It is also one of the best tool for reporting, or you can implement any of the third party reporting tools. And we should also ready with our BAS. BAS means backup as a service. So we require minimally require a one backup tool. So I given the example as Commvault. Not only Commvault, you can use Veritas Net Backup, Veeam, Cohesity, Rubrik, and or any of the other backup tools, third party backup tools, whichever your organization is using, that backup tool must be integrated with vRealize automation. And security center, that means vulnerability scanning. For vulnerability scanning, you can use any of the tools. The best examples are Tenable Security and Nessus Managers. And quarterly remediation scanning. What is the benefit of these tools, security scanning and quarterly remediation scanning, sir? Normally in our modern applications or business related application, when the application developers, they are moving the application go live or moving from development stage to production stage, before moving to the production stage, they have to verify are there any vulnerabilities on their applications, and also they required to scan their application before moving to the production. That is the reason the 9 and 10th tools also important. Minimally, these all the 10 tools are required, and it must be integrated with vRealize automation before onboarding a new customer or tenant. Okay, so later session I will explain each and every topic and one by one so that we can understand. So how we are going to integrate with VRA when we're ready with these integrations, so that from the service broker user can subscribe any request. Okay, and whatever the request they subscribe, the same request they can also do offboarding. Let's say our customer is the tenant is only for a 3 years contract. After 3 years or after 5 years, they can do offboarding. Offboarding means they have to offboard, they have to remove all their resources from all these integration products. They have to remove from the site, they have to remove from the whatever the IP address reserved for the info blocks, all the reserved IPs can be deleted, and VRA network profile, these all should be deleted. All their specific customer logical switches, firewall has to be removed, and resource pool has to be removed. And if there are any external physical firewall rules has to be removed, and reporting infrastructure. These all the standard procedure during the offboarding process. Okay, so this is a one most commonly used use case. Okay, this is a considered as a day zero design model. Okay, in our next session I will show you the day one deployment model use case, and also the day two operations use case. That's it for today. Thank you. If you are watching this video first time, please do view, like, share and subscribe to my channel Gnan Cloud Garage. And if you are already subscribed, thanks for your support and encouragement. Bye for now.